So what are Bitcoin's strengths? You'll probably recognize some of these. We've talked about some of them before, but these are its greatest strengths out of everything. Number one, first and possibly the most vital strength, the biggest benefit that Bitcoin does is solve the Byzantine generals problem. You're probably like, Byzantine, what? That's what I was like when I first heard about this. And we don't have to be computer scientists to geek out about this, but it is a very big deal. So I'm going to touch on it from a higher level. The Byzantine generals problem is a decades-old problem, a computer science problem that, according to Wikipedia, describes a situation in which, in order to avoid catastrophic failure of a computer system, the system's actors must agree on a strategy, a consensus, a concerted strategy. Unfortunately, some of the participants or actors are unreliable. So in an effort to collaborate or solve or fix the problem, the system can't, because there isn't a clear consensus on what to do due to that unreliability. The analogy used to make this easier to understand or explain is of 4 Byzantine generals surrounding a city, okay? They're trying to agree on a time of attack from each side, and they're unsure if they can trust the messengers that they're sending back and forth through the city to each respective general, or whether they're spies or not, or whether the message that they're getting, is a trap. Without knowing for sure whether they're real or accurate, they can't collaborate and ultimately succeed. So the same thing is with a computer network. And again, this has been around for a very, very long time, until 2008, 2009, when Satoshi solved it. He solved it with Bitcoin, and it alone should have gotten some kind of global award or renown. He solved it by requiring all nodes, or these miners, who offer to help the network by collecting the latest transactions into the next block, okay, spend something. They spend processing power to help the network rather than hurt the network or lie or do something bad. And they were rewarded with this new Bitcoin and transaction fees that was visible for everyone, that was public. And that alone, that incentive, that process was enough to solve the Byzantine generals problem. Secondly, it's decentralized, which we've talked about before a little bit back in What is Bitcoin, or Bitcoin as a Network. But this means decentralized, that there's many nodes, okay? So if one goes down, there's still others who are working and can continue to support the system and run it. Additionally, anyone can download the software and blockchain and start mining or supporting the network. So even if all the existing miners went down, all the existing nodes, the reward is still going to come. The transaction fees are still going to be required. That's how the system is set up, and it'll stay that way. Unlike a traditional centralized company with one CEO, a bank account, or brick and mortar building, Bitcoin's fully decentralized. There's many heads, if you want to call it that, many CEOs. We're all CEO, and anyone can be a CEO. That means no one node is more important or better or more powerful than the other. And that also means no bank account is linked to the Bitcoin company. So no brick and mortar building to seize, and you can't shut Bitcoin down because it's everywhere. Big, big, big deal. Third, it's distributed. So this is somewhat related to decentralized, but a little different. Distributed means the software is everywhere, more specifically. It's another reason you can't kill it, because it runs on the internet, and the internet is always on. So like with the first peer-to-peer networks, Napster and then BitTorrent, if someone didn't have the rest of that movie or video game or DVD, somebody eventually would. It was just a matter of time, and there was really nothing anyone could ever do to stop it, unless you decide to change the whole system and rewrite the rules and change the laws, which is what happened to the music and the movie industry. Keep that in the back of your mind when you're thinking about finance and government and business with Bitcoin. Peer-to-peer technology utilized through Napster and BitTorrent single-handedly forced the Motion Picture Association of America, MPAA, and the RIAA, Recording Industry Association of America, to change. We now have Spotify and Netflix, and I talked a little bit about that before. So it wasn't all a lot, but they didn't really have a choice. They fought it, but they eventually lost. Oh, did they lose? and we got the benefit from it. And technology won again, or progress, you want to call it that. Lastly, because of Bitcoin's distributed and decentralized nature, we call Bitcoin anti-fragile. It's a unique word. It means it can't easily die. It can't. It just keeps almost building on itself. I think of the big meteor in The Fifth Element, where they tried to shoot it, which is the big ball of evil. It just kept getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, that's Bitcoin. Fourth, it's secure because of the blockchain's length. Okay, we've talked about how supercomputers are really big. These are things that countries have, maybe, or security agencies like the NSA. And as of 2019, the Bitcoin network, 2019, is 867,000 times more powerful than one supercomputer. That's how secure it is. And even if someone were to come on the scene, say an alien race, and hack Bitcoin via a brute force attack or something else, well, let's just say a brute force attack, they can only undo one of the past transactions, the most recent. It's not like they could hack and break and automatically get all Bitcoins. Additionally, even if they did this, people would know immediately, and it'd be broadcast to the world, which would do what to the price? It would tank the price. And then how much of those, or how much would those Bitcoins that were stolen or that transaction be worth? Less than before, because it's not a secure network. So what was the point? There's incentive, a lot of incentive, to keep Bitcoin as strong and secure and as fast as possible, because it's in everyone's best interest: investors, miners, users, vendors, contributors, hackers, thieves, criminals, to keep it that way. Either everyone benefits or nobody does. And everybody does benefit, so everybody should get into it in some way. Or if you put it in Satoshi's words, which I think is really neat, this is what he had to say. Even if a bad guy does overpower the network, it's not like he's instantly rich. All he can accomplish is to take back money he himself spent, like bouncing a check. To exploit it, he'd have to buy something from a merchant, wait till it ships, then overpower the network and try to take his money back. I don't think he can make as much money trying to pull a carding scheme like that as he could by generating Bitcoins. To be clear, this doesn't mean that the exchange on which you might keep your Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies can't be hacked, or even the wallet on your phone could be hacked. It could get a virus, something like that. Or there could be a ransomware attack, which we hear a lot of nowadays too. But that's just the limiting factor is there from your wallet and the exchange, not from the Bitcoin network. That's not a fault of the Bitcoin network. And we've talked about this a little bit before, but the safest place you can store your Bitcoin is probably on a hardware wallet. Paper wallet to somewhat of a lesser extent now, but the hardware wallets have gotten so ridiculously powerful and strong and effective now. But if there were one exchange I'd feel comfortable with, I like Coinbase, again, but it's not foolproof. It just hasn't had a major attack yet. Or it has had some major attacks, but not enough to do enough harm, and it's still around. So